It's about understanding this literally almost from a physics point of view. You cannot experience what you're not the vibration of. It's simply not possible to experience something that you are not operating on the same wavelength as.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because there were cases when I felt extremely excited and positive and
Yes.
and everything was wonderful, and then the outcome was completely different.
That's because you are equating the idea of that outcome to being in the positive state, and that's not the case. I understand that physical reality and continuity can make it seem as if that was the outcome of the positive, excited state, but it wasn't. If you have an outcome that is actually truly negative, now I'm talking about something different than what you expect, because just because something unexpected happens doesn't mean it's negative. If you're labeling it as negative because you didn't get what you expected, that's the definition you need to change. But the idea is that if you do experience something negative after having been in a positive state, that negativity is not the result of the positive state. That negativity is the result of you leaving the positive state. And that means you applied a negative definition to what happened instead of a positive one. You can recognize that something that manifests may not be what you expected, may not even be what you prefer. But that's a neutral observation and does not insist that you have to define it in a negative way. You have to know that whatever happens in your life, whatever pops up, no matter how it looks, must be there for a positive reason. And if you stay in that frame of mind, you will be able to use even what you don't prefer in a way that you do prefer. That's how you use the negative positively. And then when you use it in a positive way, it will usually go away because you've used it up. There's no reason for it to hang around because you were willing to validate it as having a reason to be there that serves you, instead of assuming that just because something unexpected happened, something went wrong. That definition is what causes you to experience that something went wrong. The thing in and of itself doesn't have built-in negative meaning. Nothing has built-in meaning. You give it the meaning. Now, you may give it that meaning unconsciously and then see the negative result from the negative belief you applied to it so quickly you didn't even know you were doing it. But that's why it's so important to become aware of your definitions so that they don't catch you off guard by making it seem as if, well, that just happened out there. That's just because that's built into that situation. No, it never is. It's always coming from you. And therefore, you have a feedback mechanism that lets you know how to course correct and realign yourself and say, wait a minute. I don't have to automatically assume that just because I got something I didn't expect that that's a negative thing. Let me see how I can define this in a positive way that serves me. Catch yourself, stop yourself, find the definition that gave it the negative experience, that attached the negative experience to it, and let go of that definition and replace it with a more positive one so you can get a beneficial effect out of whatever happens. Because as we have said, and we'll say again now, it doesn't matter what happens. It only matters what you do with what happens. That's what makes the difference. Is this helping?
It is, and I have tried just that, but it feels like...
No, you haven't. Because if you say, I've tried it, you're saying that you still had an assumption and an insistence and an expectation of what the result was supposed to be. You don't know what the result needs to be until it shows up. And that's what shows you what it needed to be. So you have to let go of any insistence on what you think it's supposed to be. Do you understand?